What would you say to that guy that's like, I desperately want something more. I just don't know how to jump off of this cliff?
I don't take no for an answer. And I think that has helped me to get to the point that I'm at. If somebody tells me how hard it's going to be,
You
and
should
that I
probably
shouldn't
just
do
stay
it,
in your cubicle.
Yeah.
You're not really cut out for this.
that's when my chest starts to just swell. And I'm like, watch me.
With me today, I've got Nick Berger with Cabinet IQ of McKinney. Nick, welcome to the show. I am so glad you're here. Obviously, I work in an insurance world kind of on a day-to-day when I'm not doing, highly viewed podcasts. I'm interested in sort of the contracting angle that Cabinet IQ brings to the table. I work with a lot of residential water losses, fires, that kind of thing. So I know that we could drill down into a lot of nerdy stuff when it comes to cabinets and all of the different things that make them different from one house to the next. But I'm really more interested in sort of who were you, not before all of the titles, before all of the roles. Kind of tell me sort of what it was like kind of growing up and what was those initial sparks of entrepreneurship.
Oh, man. Well, I guess the spark started from my dad. He's a general contractor. He's been independent, had his own business forever, 45 years now. And so he's taught me how to use tools. So I've been very comfortable with that, building furniture, fixing things, working with him on job sites. So that's where my work ethic started. Honestly, I didn't feel like I was actually working unless I was sweating, which is something I got from him. But when I got out of college, I got into pharma, sitting in a cubicle, selling generic pharmaceuticals over the phone. And I felt like I wasn't doing enough work because I wasn't sweating. So I pushed myself as hard as possible to try and reach as many customers as I could, make as many sales as I could over the phone. I'm not a telemarketer. I like the human interaction, so I wanted to get out of the cubicle and into outside sales. So that's kind of where I started, how I learned to work, and my path into healthcare and the corporate world. I wanted to be in business rather than doing the work myself like my dad. Swinging a hammer and all of that's great, but I feel like I'm geared more towards the business side of things, and sales and relationships. And if I can do those things and incorporate that into what my dad does, ultimately that would be a beautiful situation where I can work with my dad. He's 67 now, and if I didn't make this move into what I'm doing now, I'd continue to have a very busy life working for a big corporation, and he would be asking me every weekend to go hunt or hang out, and I wouldn't be able to because I was on call 24/7. So the family side of things and just the work-life balance just wasn't working for me after 20 years of doing it. And so I made the switch to start my own company so that I can work with him and take any of the things that I learned from working for a big corporation like you're supposed to do. You learn from every single job, but I think now I'm able to incorporate those things in to my company now, and it allows me to work with him and have time for my family at home too.
So I appreciate, wanting to find a place for you and your dad to work together, which I think is awesome. My dad was an auto mechanic, which means anytime I was working with him, it was either hot and sweaty or really, really cold. And there were a lot of busted knuckles,
Oh, yeah.
So can I work on a car? Yes, but I don't want anyone to know that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I too kind of grew up very comfortable with tools. So I can appreciate but I mad respect for what my dad did. Mad respect. And there's a lot that I did draw from him down the road. That was just kind of like all of us. That's just something that he did. I mean, there's so much more to the person. And I think what I heard you say is like, while you went that conventional route, like, study hard in school, go to college or go find the job, work, earn, put in your money, save for retirement so that when you're old, you don't get to enjoy anything. Right. You know what I'm saying? And that was sort of the spark for entrepreneurship for me was, I say this all the time. Entrepreneurs are the only group of people that I know that'll work 80 hours a week to avoid working 40.
Absolutely. But it makes so much sense.
Right. Why does it make so much sense? Can you tell me, why did you decide to work 80 hours a week to avoid working 40? What was kind of the idea behind that?
That word work. If you're doing something that you love for the right reasons, it's not work. But when you put on that hat and you work for somebody else so that they can be successful, it takes the fun away. So if you can do that for yourself and grow something on your own and create that team, build a business that's actually successful, I'll put in every minute that I'm breathing into something and growing that, just like it's a kid.
Well, I think one of the things for me is I saw, for lack of a better term, a vacuum where I felt like I could insert myself. It was something that I probably had an innate ability to do. I had some sort of gifting or talent or exposure to at a young age, much like you were a kid that worked with your dad who was a contractor. You had the exposure to tools, so you were comfortable with all of that, and that's a natural place to gravitate to. And so for me, I wanted to find a place where I could take those talents and not just make money at it, but make people's lives better. What was the vacuum that you saw?
A lot of the vacuum was just in my own family life. I said that I was working 24/7, and I'm sure I could have managed my time a little bit better in orthopedic sales, but at the same time, I had the relationships with these doctors that trusted me to be there all the time. So that meant every holiday, nights and weekends, if they called, I had to go. And it made my wife feel like she was second place. And that's the vacuum. I was not home. And that's what I needed to solve. Okay. So it's more of a personal situation, but it's all of this is for so many reasons, but that was one of the biggest. As far as the vacuum in the industry, that's different because if you look at the conventional remodel process, a homeowner realizes they have a problem. They have been in their home for 20 years and it's just not as functional as they want it to be, or things are breaking, it doesn't look good. They want to increase the value of their home or so that they can sell it, or they want to upgrade it so that they don't have to buy another house. There's so many reasons that they would want to remodel. The vacuum there was that they would have to call a GC. The GC would say, yeah, we can do it all, and they would sub it out to all these different trades. And the homeowner doesn't have that hand-holding experience through the design process as much as as it could be. So in this, the homeowner can call us directly. I handle that, the inspiration, the discovery of what it is they're trying to accomplish, and they feel like VIPs. They come into a beautiful showroom, they see awesome products, they can feel it, they touch it, they can see all the accessories, look at all the colors and all the options, and they feel like they're important. But in a typical remodel, it's, well, can you do this? Yes, here's how much it's going to cost. Just trust me, we'll get it done. That's it. And then they hand a check to them, and they never know if they're going to come back. So there's that trust that's so important, and the vision of being able to see what it's going to be like before it happens. So I use 3D software to show a rendering of what their kitchen can look like, and we can plug and play and delete and add whatever they want. The fun of the remodel is what was missing.
Right. The vision casting, the seeing it, putting yourself in the new, right, so to speak.
And if you're going to spend, $50,000 on a car, you go see the car, you test drive it, and you get to feel what it's like to own it. That's kind of the same thing having the showroom.
Right.
So if you're going to spend that much money, you want to have that much attention to that detail and feel like you're being taken care of. So that in the industry, this company fits that void.
Right. And so did you feel the pain of the customer? We were kind of talking off camera about their experience prior to what you envisioned was a dusty cabinet shop, or this is, they go in it. There's just not a whole lot of experience prior to the final product being installed. And if that is not at all what they wanted, that became a problem. And that was one of the things that you were trying to solve, is sort of their experiential understanding of what it was. They get to communicate to you what you want, because there's no real back and forth there. There's no design time.
Right.
It's almost like, surprise me.
Exactly. Like, okay, we want to make this happen. I'm going to trust you to do your job and make it happen. But that person's actually not even the one doing it. They're just subbing all of the different trades out anyways. So they'll have a cabinet guy that makes the cabinets based on their specs or their dimensions. But the cabinet side is one thing, but then you've got to paint it. And so even if you have fantastic custom cabinets, you still have to hire a painter to come in and do it.
And if that looks bad.
If that looks bad. So, and they paint on site, and so you got the fumes in the house, and you see paint streaks, and I don't know. There's a big difference between what I have to offer and what conventionally is done here.
So obviously there are a lot of people that get into business because they like what they're doing, the work, so to speak. For example, you would think a chef who likes to cook would open up a restaurant, but it doesn't take long before that chef realizes, I don't get to be a chef anymore. Now, that was kind of different with you. You could do the work, right? But you were really more drawn to the idea of the business, and it didn't take long. So what was sort of your understanding of business prior to making the jump from the pharmaceutical industry or the orthopedic sales industry into the great unknown, if you will? Sure, you picked a category, right? But what made you think you could turn it into a business? What was your understanding of business to make you think you could do this?
Great question. So when you're building this piece of furniture, for instance, or you're making a plate for somebody as a chef, you're helping that one person, and that one person has a great experience. But in my mind, what if I could make that 10 people and have 10 people have a great experience? So what do I need to do? What processes and people do I need to bring into this so that I can help more than just one person at a time? So I think that's for any industry, but I would really like to, and this is why I went this route. It was in business, it's just called scaling, but really what it is helping more people than I would be able to if I was doing everything on my own.
Right.
There's benefits to that too. The business grows, I can make more money. As an entrepreneur, that's what you want. When you're working for yourself, you want to do that. But if I can make more money and make more people happy by building this process, then everybody wins. There's no downside in my mind.
Well, I mean, any business has a level of risk to it, right?
Well, that's another conversation.
Right. It has a level of risk to it, and everything works out on the cocktail napkin, right? Yeah. Everything we draw it. Oh, yeah, right. I'm a visionary, so trust me. When I think of something, everything works in my head. It's like there's no way that anything could ever go wrong. Now, I often will try to go down the rabbit holes of the contingent bad sideways thing. What possibly could go sideways, and how am I going to manage and handle that thing when it goes sideways, right? I am still a guy who very much does the lion's share of the work. So I'm doing all the cooking in the kitchen too, right? So when you look at that, many people are comfortable with taking a risk to avoid losing something. But what you're describing is really, really different. You're talking about taking a risk to realize a gain. Right. And there are lives on the line. There are people that are involved in this. And I'm wondering, how did you handle when you were going to step out and do this thing, that it wasn't just your family's lives on the line, which is absolutely your number one priority. Mm-hmm. But there's other people, because you're going to have to get some help. You're going to have to build something around that in order to scale. Yeah. How did you kind of go, okay, show up here on Monday morning and I'm going to write you a check on Friday kind of thing, and commit to me, because they don't just commit to you, you have to commit to them. What did that feel like?
Man, you're really getting deep. I love it. All right. So in order to start, I needed to know every bit of this on my own. And I knew that I wasn't going to be able to bring somebody on until I was busy enough to have them doing something all day, every day. So I've stressed myself out the first couple of months before I made my first hire. I needed to do that because I needed to prove that there was a customer base, that there was a network that I can tap into that actually would bring in business for me. If I didn't have that, I wouldn't hire anybody. And then at that point, I would have tapped out. There's no way that I can continue if I can't even prove that when I'm doing it on my own. So I took that into consideration. I didn't want to put anybody else's lives and their family at risk by bringing somebody on and just telling them, look, I can't do this anymore. It's not here. So the first 6 months, I found a showroom location. I started making contact with all the GCs that I could, have a virtual assistant in the Philippines that, cold calls all GCs and all different trades just to let them know that I exist, sets up appointments on my calendar, and I was having 5 to 10 good conversations a week. That gave me some confidence to know that there are people to talk to, there are people that need this service and the product. So took it a couple steps farther and got my first kitchen and then my second kitchen, and then I hired somebody finally to be able to help with that, knowing that this was going to be a tough process. We still had to prove that this all can be done. Every day we're trying to prove it to ourselves, and it's hard. It really is hard. But I wasn't going to hire multiple people and try and delegate those kind of things. I needed to do it on my own and prove that first.
So I want to make sure that I understand the timeline here, and I think it's really important for the audience to understand. And I'm going to kind of jump ahead because I want to make sure that we get all of the points in there. What was the amount of time that from the time that you left your corporate job to the point of, okay, I'm going to do this by using the franchise model. I'm going to go buy into a franchise. What was the exploratory thing that said, okay, there's really only one way this works is to go with somebody that's figured out all of the stuff? Talk to me about that little bridge right there. Those paths. How long was it, first of all? How many attempts to make this work did you have before you finally landed on the franchise model?
So that kind of ties into the last question too on hiring. But I decided June of last year to make the move. I knew I was going to do something. I was going to buy a company. I looked at multiple franchises. I locked in on this one in July of last year. I stayed at my W-2 job until April of this year.
Oh, okay. So yeah, you didn't try to go make a cabinet shop work. You went straight into the franchise model. And what was the research like? You know what I'm saying? As you were beginning to dig, I appreciate your dad was a general contractor. There was a level of built-in sort of a built-in understanding there. I appreciate you picking something that you felt like you knew. That makes a lot of sense.
I was looking at weight loss clinics. I was looking at
senior
living. I was looking at every franchise that's out there, and you take an aptitude or a personality test with franchise brokers, and that's great.
Did you use a broker?
Yeah, I did, and they help you kind of direct you into an industry that they think that you would enjoy and be successful in based on what your goals are. So I had actually 2 brokers tell me that Cabinet IQ was the route I should go. The first one, I didn't want to listen. I didn't want a showroom. I wasn't sure exactly what I wanted to do, but I didn't want to have that kind of overhead. But after thinking about it and what I would want as a homeowner, again, this goes back to the showroom, but as a homeowner, I want to be able to see it, and I want to be able to trust that they're going to do a good job, and this is what I'm going to get, the final product. After I realized that, I went ahead with Cabinet IQ. I thought that was a positive. That was a differentiator from any of the other cabinet guys.
You were aware of the previous experience prior to looking at this. You knew this was better. You knew this was missing in the cabinet world, or as far as the customer experience of going through the remodel process.
Exactly. Yeah, I felt that was. I was very confident that was a missing piece in the industry. It's very fragmented, and the communication breakdown is awful between the trades. And so looking at my healthcare background, knowing that in surgery, you have to be very clear and concise about what's happening and how to do it. Working with everybody in the room, all different levels in the hospital. If you could take that and put it into a fragmented industry that doesn't communicate well, that doesn't present well, and leaves a lot unsaid, unspoken anyways, there's a lot of communication breakdown. If I could just do what I did in healthcare in this, then everything seemed like it would be successful. But it took a long time to prove that. I started, like I said, found the company in July, found the location for the showroom in September. In December, January, I had my first kitchen. And then I hired a designer in January. And in April, I left my W-2 job because I was starting to get too much business. I needed to focus on that. I was trying to do full-time orthopedic sales, covering cases, and being at the hospital when I needed to be there, and working, in my car or at night, trying to figure all this out.
So help me understand. I just want to understand, like, this is April, right? That this was just a few months ago, or, this is not that long ago.
Yeah.
Understanding as far as the sales role that you were in your W-2 job, I appreciate that it was demanding. Can you kind of help me understand, like, why would a doctor call a salesman in the middle of the night? That's kind of what I need to understand.
Yeah. Orthopedic sales is if you're not in healthcare, then you've probably never heard of this job before. If you've had surgery before, you might not know that there was probably a rep in the room. In orthopedics, for instance, like hips and knees, you're responsible for making sure that the instruments are there and sterile, and not just one set, but you have to have like a plan A, a plan B, a plan C, because the doctor's scrubbed in the case. And if something goes south or there's something that's unexpected, doc looks straight at the rep, the representative of the manufacturer of the implant, and says, "What do I do now?" So you have to have all of the instruments available and sterile, ready to work at that moment when it's needed. And then when that's done and when everything's prepped, you have to have all of the implants to go in.
This isn't product knowledge. This is procedure knowledge. You have to understand the procedure that's going on.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So you've got to understand what that doctor's going to do before they do it, even before, in some cases, I've seen probably more orthopedic, like knee or hip surgeries than some orthopedic surgeons, because some of them do all sorts of surgeries, not just hip and not just knee. So I've seen thousands of them, and I can offer solutions for things that I've seen from other doctors, because I've worked with hundreds of doctors. So I've seen different techniques. This could work here. If don't do that, this might happen.
What's it like when you have one of those combative personalities? Don't tell me how to do this, sir. I've spent 100,000 years in medical school, and I know this. And
that's where you have to read the room and know your place. Some doctors, some ORs, you better not say a word, but you have to be okay with that. Some doctors will yell at you for no reason. Some need a lot of help. You just have to know who you're working with, and that's why I got good at it over time. Nobody's perfect at that. You gotta take some hits.
Thick skin. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Right.
To make it in that industry for a long time, for sure. But when you can do that, you can get into any industry and have the same skill set, and understand that some people want you to be very direct, and they want you to take the lead. Well, this is my kitchen. I don't know what to do, so this is your job. And so you have to design it for them. Some of them want to tell you everything that they want, down to the millimeter. Mm-hmm. This is the color I want. This is the tile I want. This is that. And so you have, you're excellent. Yes.
Again, you find yourself doing the same exact thing in the side of an opera. You just changed the theater. That's all you've done.
That's exactly right. So that's why this is so fun to me. I get to do all the things that I really enjoyed from that.
From your child, from that, you combine the thing that you love there with what you were so attached to in your childhood, right? As you were coming up,
Right.
Obviously, mad respect for your dad, and wanting to work with him, even now at 67 years old, and being able to work with him. There's a lot of these things that are combining, and it almost takes an entrepreneurial effort to be able to blend those things together.
Do you know who's not an entrepreneur?
Who?
My wife.
Oh, yeah.
So
My wife isn't either.
So for all of the great ideas and the effort and like the vision and understanding ultimately, that life is going to be better in the future,
But not tomorrow.
not tomorrow. So that, I've had to do a lot more research on like that side of things, because you can do so good at work and that means nothing at home. So you have to have a balance. And I think every entrepreneur needs to understand that. And if they don't, they will at some point.
Well, any business is like a needy, whiny baby that you think you have got, it's grown up, it's walking, it's talking, it can feed itself, and you go to bed and wake up and it's an infant all over again because something shifted and changed. Have you ever had anything like that happen where you had to work through sort of the ebb rather than the flow?
Oh boy. Well, I would say I'm still new to this, but I feel like a seasoned veteran already. I don't think she's going to be watching this podcast, but the designer that I hired in January, I had to let go on Monday.
Oh, wow.
There's, as an owner, these are things that you have to take into consideration, of course, when you're hiring people, how you're going to let them go if it's not working out, right? So 2 weeks ago, things are fine enough, and then something happens, and then you dig into it a little bit more and you realize that there's a lot of things that are not being done correctly and are being dropped, and you're trying to build a business and you can't fail. Like everything I do is to the best of my abilities, and I expect everybody that I hire to feel that exact same way. Mm-hmm. And if they can't, we need to communicate and figure out how to.
It's so important that you impart the vision of where you're headed and whether or not that person can grab that vision. I think that there's something inside of everybody that wants to be a part of something that's bigger than they are, Okay. And I think, and a lot of times people look to their jobs to fill that void in their life. Now, people do a lot of things. They go to church. They're a part of a bowling league. We do this in a lot of different areas of our life. But people who want to stay at a job feel like that they're a part of something that's truly bigger than they are, that has a mission and a direction that is congruent to their worldview, for lack of a better way to explain it. Yeah. And how is it that you do that so that they feel like not that they have a job so much, but maybe that they're a part of a family and a greater mission?
This is two parts. So there's what they want, and if they are aligned in that and they see the vision, they want to be a part of that, that's great. But then there's if they're capable to handle that. That's where that's the missing piece that I had in this hire. Mm-hmm. If you have somebody that says, yes, I can do it, put it all on my plate, I can do this, I'll take care of it, I'll do it, I'll take care of it, and then it doesn't get done, and then everything falls apart. So you can't just have a yes person that's just going to come in and say, I want to be a part of this is great, have all the energy, but then not be able
none of the follow through
to follow through.
So one of the things that I'm hearing you say is there's plenty of people that go to college, graduate, get their college degree or whatever path they take through world education and self-evolvement, if you will. College is not the only road, is what I'm saying. Going to work for big pharma or Toyota or State Farm Insurance or whatever the case may be, that is clearly, you don't have to feel like you're a part of something that's bigger than you are. It is evident everywhere you look that this is a bigger part of you, and you are not, you are a number, you are a sprocket or a cog in the machine, so to speak. And you hope at some level that you claw your way to the middle and you become relevant, but it doesn't leave a lot of room for legacy, does it?
Right.
And so when you come in to be a part of a startup, that's really different, because even the employee is taking a risk on you that you're going to be here tomorrow, that kind of thing. And transparency, I have found, is the best way to go, look, this is a startup.
Yeah.
How do you manage that concern in their eyes?
One of the new hires that's coming on in January, I've been trying to get her on board for an entire year. So there's been some recruitment going on. She was supposed to be my very first hire back then, because she's got tremendous experience, and I know that. I wanted her from the start. She can fill all the voids, all the things that I don't want to do or can't do very well. Like, she can do 10 kitchen designs like in a week, easy. She's perfect for that. I can't be focused on the laptop and designs all the time. I'm doing that right now, but I need her to be able to do that. I knew she could do that back then. She's finally seen the showroom. She sees that this is working. She sees how busy I am. She knows that there's a great fit for her now, and that fear is gone. She's excited now, and she sees that the vision was not only a good idea, but it's true. Like, the growth that I've had over the past year without her on board has been phenomenal. With her on board, it's going to take us to another level. But she sees that now. So I've got the proof. Again, for her and for any customer, seeing the showroom shows that there's some legitimacy here. She trusts that things are what they seem.
Awesome. Well, I know that can be hard to communicate at a level, and being able to meet people's expectations when they go and decide to move from what might be a secure situation at a major corporation, right? To move into a startup role that they see lots of vision, they see lots of potential, right? And a good business owner, has usually that ability to sell his vision. This is what I'm wanting to build. This is what I'm wanting to do. And people make a decision of whether or not they want to be a part of that. Right. And there's a lot of ways that we can drill down on whether or not you're a fit. I mean, there's lots of different sort of techniques and things that are out there that are available. But what was one of the things that you believe incentivizes people to take this journey and, for lack of a better term, this risk with you?
Well, now I've created a pretty strong base. That means without anything that they've done, I've already proven that the model works. So me, again, just coming into this technically since April 100%, it's December now. Her seeing my growth without her on board proves to her that what I'm doing is working, and that is something, to one of your other questions. She didn't trust early on that this was going to survive. Mm-hmm. And she was open with me. She's like, Nick, you're doing this on your own. Are you sure it's going to work? Like, you're going to have a lot of expenses.
I can't walk away from what I've got now.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the risk to keep from losing something.
Yeah.
Rather than, so it took her a year to take this journey.
Absolutely.
Yeah. To mitigate a little bit of that risk. She needed some, that makes sense.
Which means she's smart.
Right.
And I respect that. And so I've stayed in good contact with her. I'm like, hey, look, this month, this is what I'm doing. This is the level of a project that I'm working on right now. And she's, kept being more impressed. And then she saw the showroom. We had a grand opening in October. And she's like, okay, you're legit. This is real. Okay, I see what you're doing. Mm-hmm. I trust you now. Okay, now she started to get excited. And so she'll start in January, and this will be like a completely different chapter. Showroom's open, great designer on board, me being able to delegate the design between project management, installation. I've got an admin now. I've got a showroom manager that can like give the tours and set up appointments. So I've got those pieces are starting to be filled.
Have you found that the investment in them is paying the dividends that you need to pay, or are you still kind of waiting and hoping that those dividends pay off?
I think they're immediately paying off because it's all about the experience for the customer. Again, I want them to feel like a VIP. So when they walk into a beautiful showroom, the first thing that they're seeing is a smiling face saying welcome and giving them a tour of the showroom and setting up an appointment. So, or introducing them to me right at that point. So even the easiest job, honestly, in the showroom, just saying hi to somebody when they walk in is not something that other people are getting when they are thinking about doing a home remodel.
When you decided to go with the franchise model through your research and you had talked to some people, it's like you'll never make it doing custom cabinets. You asked some veterans in the industry about what your chances of making it were, and you got some really honest answers, right? Maybe not the most encouraging ones, right?
I'm always an optimist. So when they say,
I think you have to be an entrepreneur. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to be. So when someone says, "Oh, that's going to be hard," you're like, "Okay, well, what would make it easy?" And then I'll do that. So they say, "Don't own a custom cabinet shop. It's going to be too hard. Material costs are going up. Labor costs are going up. Rent's going up. All these things, all these negatives. If you want to scale, you're going to have to spend $1 million on technology." I'm like, "Okay, well, if you're having this problem, that means my competition is having this problem. If I want to beat my competition, I got to be smarter." So how do I do that? So every wall that goes up, for every wall that goes up, there's a door somewhere that I can walk through and find an easier path that's ultimately going to make my life easier than what my competition's is. And if my competition's having a hard time, they're losing business to me, and my business is going to succeed. So it's...
Well, you sort of elevate the industry. It's kind of survival of the. I mean, there's nothing that is going to make business accommodating, right? Running a business is not the most accommodating thing to go out there and try,
right?
And so, you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of better ways that you can go about life, you know. So I guess what I'm trying to, my question is simply this. When you chose the franchise model, right, there's some upsides, there's some downsides. What were the things that were attractive about it? Why did you go with the franchise? What were the things that made you go, this is what I need to do? What work was done for you, I guess?
I know that having brand recognition is very important. And of course, me starting out on my own and trying to build those networks as Nick, the cabinet guy, isn't...
I can see the business card.
Yeah.
Nick, the cabinet guy.
Who are you? I looked at your LinkedIn. You've never been in this industry before, but you tie that into a franchise that's had success, and not just some success, like massive success. Cabinet IQ is one of the fastest growing franchises that there is. It's incredible. When I saw that, I knew that if I took things outside of the name and the recognition and the network that they already had, and I input my drive and my optimism, and of course there's the finances, which we haven't talked about yet on how to make this stuff happen.
Yeah.
All of those things had to align, and for those reasons, when they did align, I felt like this was the right option for me. Instead of having to do it all on my own from the ground up, this saved me 5 years.
Yeah, because the ground up is just time against revenue. That's really what that becomes, because until you can build that revenue stream, whether it's as simple as brand recognition, right? Or whether it's as simple as process comfort. right? I mean, how do we move from the dusty workshop into the beautiful showroom? There is that understanding of what that that customer experience has got to be, that creates a bona fide sales cycle, because there's no sales cycle that involves a dusty shop, right? Not one that works. Right. Consistently over time, that's scalable. Who knows how dusty the shop's going to be this week. Yeah. Right. You know what I'm saying? So you had to get consistent that customer experience. You also had to get consistent the sales process or whatever. And so that had to be kind of an alleviation, for lack of a better term, an SOP, a standard operating procedure that you did not have to think about, right?
Absolutely. If you're trying to build a business, any business, it takes upfront capital to be able to do it. And if I wanted to be in this industry, I knew that would involve a massive loan for the technology and the space to be able to make those, and the materials and the overhead to do it. If you take all of that into consideration, the amount that I would have had to spend to start on my own versus what I've spent to pick up and run with what
a turnkey solution. Yeah.
A turnkey solution, just plug and play. I mean, I'm spending less than I would have if I had done it.
But so most of the people think that they can do it. It's like, you've got all of this. Let's take the beautiful showroom, okay? Whether it's the counters, whether it's how it mounts to the wall so that it is a showroom and not just a bunch of stuff sitting in a room, right? How do you take it from a storage facility into a showroom, right? There's a lot of people that believe they may rip off the idea, well, this is how Cabinet IQ does it. I can go be Nick the cabinet guy with the cabinet guy showroom that has all of these sorts of things. What a lot of people may or may not realize, there's a lot of market research that goes into how to display these things, right? And it removes a significant amount of trial and error, right?
You know a lot more about this than I thought you did. You've done your homework. You've been in this industry for a long time. Kind of. So with Cabinet IQ, they have a designer that created the showroom itself. He wrote a book called The Wow Factor, where the psychology behind a showroom.
What was the author of that book?
His name's Bill Tremblay.
Okay.
William Tremblay. And
I've heard of the Wow Factor. That's the reason why it sparked. Maybe Dustin told me a little bit about sort of where it all came out of and who this was. I don't remember if we talked about it or not, Dustin. But I've heard of this book before, and I believe I've heard that name. I've not read it, and I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on him, but that's interesting.
Yeah. I mean, again, plug and play, because I didn't have to think about this. This guy that's been in this industry for 40 years has developed other showrooms and has seen what helps customers feel comfortable. The lighting, you're appealing to every single sense. The lighting, the touch of any of the countertops or the cabinets, the feel of the soft glide hinges, every single sense, including aroma. We have aromatherapy in the HVAC so that it smells like the Ritz-Carlton when you walk in. Everything makes you feel comfortable. It's like walking into a Starbucks, where, I mean, that's what Starbucks did great, right? They created an environment.
An experience to be in. It's an experience to be in, yeah.
Exactly. So I didn't have to think about those things. If I was just Nick, the cabinet guy that was trying to sell cabinets out of my car here in this area, I would not ever have thought about doing that. If I wanted to bypass the showroom completely and only sell cabinets based on my relationship with GCs, again, out of the car or something, I wouldn't be successful. That wouldn't work. I know that because there's been multiple other cabinet guys that have approached me that have wanted to be in the industry, have started their own companies, and have asked me for a job because it's not working. So I know that what I did is the right way to go about it. It's making me look really good because I didn't have to put any brain cells into trying to figure out which aroma to buy to make that showroom smell good. So just the way that the whole everything.
I'm guessing lavender. I wouldn't know. Teak wood. I mean, all kinds of ideas there, right? But
Yeah.
it's kind of, you're trying to evoke a visceral response from people. You're deeply trying to get into their emotions and feelings rather than their analytical side.
Yeah.
You're approaching because people make decisions based on how they feel.
Yeah. If you can give somebody a dopamine hit every time they look in a direction, it's like, wow, did you see that? Wow, did you see that? Oh, did you see that? Or do you smell that? Like every time they are surprised by something, they feel more positive and comfortable and happy about it. So if you can implement that into something that's going to be in their home, they can then envision it even more. Like, this is comfortable. I love this. This is what I want in my home.
So let me ask you this. What you're talking about are sort of passive techniques into sales,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Those are all passive things. It creates an environment for them, right? Tell me a little bit about, how do you get them to the showroom? What is your active business development? Is it networking groups? Is it just reaching out to GCs to ask? Is it based on referral partners, that kind of thing? How is it that you get in front of them to even say, hey, I've got a showroom over? Now, I know Cabinet IQ probably does a fair amount of marketing and maybe people are pointed in a direction, but how do you, Nick, get them to pick you?
All of the above. So I'm in.
Are you doing social media, stuff like that?
Absolutely. Facebook, Instagram. I get a lot of customers from that, actually.
Okay.
I'm in a BNI chapter, business networking. I'm in Chamber of Commerce. I have that virtual assistant that's calling GCs and other trades, setting up appointments for me so that if they need a cabinet guy, they know that there's one here. And I've gotten some great business from them, built great relationships. And this actually brings in another key point. Instead of me just receiving business from GCs and homeowners, if a homeowner calls me and they want a full remodel and I only do cabinets and countertop, I can reach out to any one of those 200 GCs that I've made contact with over the past couple of months and say, hey, you want to come in and do the flooring, the plumbing, the electrical, the drywall, load-bearing wall, appliances, whatever. I can actually bring other people business, and it makes them happy.
This is not a slide on the cabinet industry. Several years ago, we had to remodel our kitchen. And I can't remember if there was like a loss attached, like an insurance loss attached. It doesn't really matter. That's not the point. But we got the cabinet guy to sort of ramrod the job because there was drywall work, there was electrical work, that all of that needed to be done. There was some code compliance stuff that we had to shift around, that kind of thing. We wanted to keep some of it. And it was 12 weeks of no kitchen.
That's a lot.
It's a long time. Right. And we were relying on the custom cabinet maker, and they were custom cabinets. And that's kind of what it was, is we're going to do this. This is the style of it. Here is a picture on the internet, not of my work, but of what a shaker style cabinet, door looks like, that kind of thing,
You feel the pain.
I absolutely do. I didn't get to go through design.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, there would have been something I would have done different. Now, I'm fine with what we worked out, all of that was okay. And everything, but it was not a great experience. Like, I would never hire that guy again to do anything, right. Because the experience, Nick, was terrible. Right. Right. And I think a lot of people have the idea that, look, when you go through a remodel project, you got to break a few eggs, make an omelet here, guys. You got to be expected to be a little bit uncomfortable, while may be true. But why not mitigate it where you can? And I think what you're talking about through the franchise model that creates not just the customer experience at the top of the funnel, so to speak, when you begin to nurture them through. Because what you're talking about with the aroma theory is nothing other than an in-person nurture sequence, right?
Absolutely.
And how do you take that thing, that aromatherapy, and put that into social media? What are some of your, and what, I mean, what has been your experience with social media and Cabinet IQ? How is that working for you? And I don't care what the answer is, because we're all in the struggle, right? You know, because social media is a part of it. So what has been your experience with social media in this?
I'm still trying to get as much as I can out of social media. It's really only started with just standard advertisements like.
Are they paid ads, or are you just trying to do organic stuff?
Just organic stuff right now.
Okay.
So I'll post fantastic videos.
I know a guy.
He's amazing. And of like the grand opening and the ribbon cutting with the Chamber of Commerce. And now we'll start implementing some other like customer testimonials. We haven't maxed any of that out yet. But daily, I'm getting calls from people. I saw you on Instagram, or I saw you on Facebook. Can I come in and see the showroom? So I haven't even hit the limit on how I can drive more business from that social media. But I don't know how to get people to smell the showroom
right, yeah.
from looking at a video, but seeing that there's a showroom in the middle of McKinney, and I mean, that's huge. All the showrooms are in Design District, downtown Dallas. So now instead of having to drive 45 minutes an hour down there, they're right here. So that makes it way more attractive just from the start.
When you tell me that, well, all I hear is expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I'm saying? So but you bridge a gap kind of different just to get into the business model a little bit. It's not super high end, all just high end stuff. It is quality. And I'm not saying to sacrifice quality here, but there's the good, better, and best in every sort of category or whatever. And how do you kind of qualify that customer? You know, to determine if they walk in the showroom, you've not seen their house, you have no idea what they want to do, and everybody has champagne taste.
Oh,
the problem is the beer budget that walks in the door with them.
Exactly. So, you know, setting expectations on the first meeting is super important. So going through a budget calculator of what their investment could be, right? So typical kitchen remodel, I'll tell anybody, kitchen remodel is going to be $25,000 or more. So if they're lucky, we can get it to 15 if it's a very small kitchen. But industry standard, 25 to 35,000 is what you're going for. And at that level, cost first value report for 2025 for Dallas shows that if you're spending $25,000 to $35,000 on your kitchen, you're actually recouping 120% of that in home value. So if you're spending that, you're actually making money or increasing the value of your home by spending that much. So that's a good starting point for anybody that's thinking about doing it. If you go higher than that, then you're starting to think about, well, how much more comfortable is this kitchen going to make you? So if you want to add a little bit more accessories, add some more bells and whistles, more trim, whatever, it'll go up from there. But setting that expectation right off the start, look, it's going to be $25,000. So that helps people understand the investment level and showing them the differences in the good, better, and best. If you want it to be completely modified, I can go full custom. And you can get a $200,000 kitchen from me if you want to. But we can also do a $10,000 cabinet order, and depends on how much countertop you want or what quality of countertop you want. If you want backlit,
has quartz come down to the price of Formica yet, or laminate? It's not about the same.
No,
I figured that would have evened out by now.
Not quite. So, looking at the cabinets and the countertop, all in installation for everything. That's what we're working with.
You're going to have to forgive me because I'm sitting here thinking I work a lot of insurance losses, and that's not really the rabbit hole I'm diving down here. But I am thinking about sort of the standardization that comes with it and the range of stuff where you can really be helpful for a lot of people that have gone through a fire, that have gone through a water loss, that are in that particular situation. I think that's really interesting. But in a world,
it is.
In a world where more and more stuff is being bought online from insurance to close to all of that, you're trying to get a face-to-face customer experience in a very virtual digital world. So do you feel like, are you trying to hold on to some sort of nostalgia that's not really there anymore? Because, I mean, so we have become so antisocial. And I think one of the things that is, the pandemic did not help anything, but I believe it only accelerated where we were headed anyway.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, you would just stop by your friend's house to see if they were home. Now that doesn't happen. And a lot of that is because we can text and we have this immediate sort of contact,
Sure.
How do you, it kind of feels a little old school to me. I'm not gonna lie to you, Nick. And what do you say about that?
I say, show me something on Amazon that costs $25,000 to $50,000 and tell me who's comfortable buying that. I mean, if you're paying something that's taken you so long to save up, you want to put as much effort into making sure it's the right decision as possible. And if that means touching it and seeing it, then that's what you're going to do. And you can do that in a showroom. That level of qualifying the product is needed, I think, at a certain price point. So if I was selling things that were maximum $5,000 every day, having a showroom's not what I would do. But
okay, fair enough.
But if you've got people in $5 million homes that want to trust that they're getting a superior quality product, they need to see it.
And I need you to understand here. I'm not trying to be combative, but
I didn't feel that at all.
Okay, well, I'm going to rebut here, and so I just need you to be kind of prepared for that. It's really more of a question from a business standpoint. This is like a real conversation. I'm actually asking these questions not just for the show, but because I'm actually kind of sitting here thinking about from a business model standpoint. I see holes. Okay, I legitimately see holes. You asked me what can they buy on Amazon for $20 that they're not going to want to touch. Well, I don't have anything specific on Amazon, but I can throw a site out there like Carvana. I mean, they have those. What is it, Carvana? That's got the vending machine out there on 35 West. Is that what I'm talking about?
On 121. Right
yeah, right. Okay, so they've got a vending machine.
Yeah.
Cars that you can come in, and there's the research on all of that kind of stuff where they deliver it to your, I just bought a car. Okay. And it was almost, I went to a dealership to drive it. So in all fairness, I did go touch it. Okay. Because I was born in the mid 1900s, right? The late 1900s. I have my own sales process that you're probably not ever going to work out of me. I want to shake hands and look at somebody eye to eye, but kids that are 25 years old, that were homeschooled, we are degrading socially over time. And that affects how business gets done. I'm
Absolutely.
not saying it slows it down. I'm just saying it pivots it in a very real way. And you're trying to create a customer experience in a world that has become very virtual and very instant gratification. We have gotten more instantly gratified over time, That's got to be tough because you've got to appease that, because the people that are 25 today will be 35 in 10 years and they didn't magically become more social. I don't see us heading in that direction. And so you're kind of in an old school place, even though it's expensive. They'll have I did buy something on Amazon and it was like a suitcase. It was like a suitcase, and it said, "Here's your virtual thing, so you can see what it looks like in your house." That tool, have you ever seen? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And it's like it's there. Sherwin-Williams has on their site, "This is what your room will look like painted this color."
Absolutely.
So, is there any of that Cabinet IQ, if not doing it now, that you're working on to kind of bridge that gap, because it's real?
Oh yeah, fantastic points. So a couple things. AI is real. AI is coming. Right? So I wanted to be in an industry that I felt was not resistant to, but can be augmented by AI, and that it wasn't going to take my job. Right? So having that showroom is important. AI can't do that, because for the people, my demographics of people that are remodeling their homes, they're not 25. Right?
Right. But they'll be 35 and they're not getting any better, is my point.
Sure. So we are working on AI for doing things like that, for helping design, but they still need a place most of them want a place to come and see the product. But our online presence is on point. So on social media, on our website, you can, if you wanted to, we could do everything virtually. The software that I work with, it's
so you are bridging the gap. You're
Yeah.
answering that question.
Absolutely. They never have to step foot in the showroom if they don't want to. The showroom.
That's the question.
The
There
showroom.
you go.
The showroom is my designer's office, right? So that is where we go to work. But it happens to have 4 kitchen displays in it. But if you want to send me pictures of your kitchen, if you want to send me dimensions that you've drawn out, I'll build you a virtual rendering and show you a 3D walkthrough of your kitchen without you ever having to come into the showroom. So for those 25, 35, 45-year-old customers that don't want to come out, fine. That's fine with me. I'll go to the house. I'll do the final measure. I'll make sure everything's dialed in. But I think that we can appeal to everybody in the future as well. Another thing to take into consideration on buying a car sight unseen, how many of those, I'm sure you probably, is your car used or
That was new. I had went and test drove the vehicle that I own. Yeah. I did not test drive the actual vehicle that I bought.
Sure.
Right. Okay. It wasn't even the same package or whatever, but I knew what I wanted.
Yeah.
I was very solid. I had done my research. I had looked at it, and there are still, there's still some, I wish I'd have gone with that. There's a little bit of that. You know what I mean? Like, I wish I'd have had the quartz countertops instead of going with the granite, but the wife really liked the granite,
Yeah,
that
for sure.
kind of, that's sort of buyer's remorse, not regretting that I bought a car, but maybe did I leave a stone unturned kind of thing is kind of more the question. But yeah, I bought it from a guy that was in my networking group. I'll tell you, he works for D&M Auto Leasing. It was one of the greatest ways I've ever bought a car. It was all done pretty much virtually and digitally, from the signing of the papers and all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That was super easy, quick, and nice. He delivered it in the parking lot of Walk-Ons right over here at the Worldwide Studios, Mass and Gravity Studios.
Yeah.
So that's how I bought the car, and I loved it. And it's not the first time I've had them deliver the car to me. I didn't go to the showroom and buy it, So I mean, it has become, even in my nature, to want to do the touch and feel. The procedure and the process, once I've said yes, now I don't want to be in your showroom anymore. I want to get this thing as digital as possible and not have to mess with it.
Remember, my showroom grand opening was in October, but I had already had 30 other customers, 30 to 40 customers, kitchens, before the showroom was ever open.
Come on. I love to hear that. That's just good.
So I don't need a showroom, but it is nice to have.
Yeah, you don't. That's a great answer.
And today,
I don't need one,
but to prove
but I have one.
To prove the benefit of it, though, each day this week I sold a kitchen. So
wow,
it is working. It is the way that most people want to do business. It does make them feel special. It makes me feel special. It's beautiful. You should come see it.
From a client standpoint, I work with a lot of, I'm in a lot of like, hey, let's go I work with a lot of contractors. Obviously I can introduce you just from a networking standpoint. Yeah, I know a lot of people, right? Yeah. And I also know how insurance carriers handle cabinets. Right. And having an expert that has it ready to go, sort of. Yeah. You and I will be doing stuff together. I don't know what all of it looks like, but yeah, I'm very happy to have met you just from a professional standpoint. But from, being a franchisee, buying into that kind of thing, you had mentioned earlier, you have to have capital. It's not to say that your business idea that you would like to bootstrap wouldn't work. I'm not no discouraging the bootstrappers, but sure. It's a chapter. You got to be ready to write a couple of really tough chapters in your book when you go down that road. Let me ask you this one thing as we kind of wrap up. I just want to, what would you say to the guy that's sitting in his cubicle, that's getting up in the middle of the night to go stand in the operating theater? What would you say to that guy that's like, I desperately want something more. I just don't know how to jump off of this cliff?
Help me with the term here. Maybe called tough love. I don't take no for an answer. And I think that has helped me to get to the point that I'm at. Mm-hmm. Anybody can tell you this is going to be hard. But is me telling you, yeah, you can do it, is that helpful? Or is me telling you, you can't do this?
Is that helpful?
So if somebody tells me how hard it's going to be,
you
and
should
that
probably
I shouldn't
just stay in your cubicle.
Yeah.
You're not really cut out for this.
That's when my chest starts to just swell, and I'm like, watch me.
Right.
So I think
your message to them is stay in your cubicle. I got this.
I mean, hey, if you think you can do it, do it. But it is not going to be easy.
It is shark infested waters out there. It really is. And I like it.
You have to thrive in it.
Yeah, you really do. You have to, I mean, and some of us are cut out for that. You had said earlier, your wife is not an entrepreneur. My wife is not an entrepreneur. Wants her W-2 job. She likes her security. I have told people this a lot. It's like, look, when you get ready to start out in life, in business or work or whatever it is that you're going to do, there are two things that you want immediately: security and freedom. You want both of those. You want security and you want freedom. Well, you can get one of them really, really easy. It's the other one that you will spend your entire life working to earn. And so it's up to you. It really, and I can tell you whichever path you want to go down, you just got to determine how much freedom do you want or how much security do you want? Because with security comes accountability, right? And I think you and I can both probably attest, even though we have very different business models and very different approaches, is that the more risk that's involved in it, the higher the accountability is. And there's no greater accountability that's what's behind my front door at home. That's where the accountability really is. And everything I do is based on trying to push forward for that to be better. You know, I really just want that to be better. And Nick, I want to say thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today.
My pleasure. Completely.
Your message to basically go, just stay in your cubicle. I got this. You know what? I love that. That may be what they need to hear to get out of the cubicle and go do something. So if they're interested in Cabinet IQ, Nick, can you tell me how can they get a hold of you? I know you said you got a showroom in McKinney. Give us the location of that showroom and how to get in touch with you if they're interested in using your services.
Yeah. Showroom's at corner of Hardin and El Dorado in McKinney. Address 3180 El Dorado Parkway. Google me. Cabinet IQ at McKinney. Has the address, has my phone number, has the website. You can hit me up there.
Click like and subscribe. And as always, I'm reminding you to own your own story or somebody else will.